This is my Hatchhyack Gogeta blocker burn deck. One copy of the leader. 4 SS4 Gogeta Prismatic Burst. 4 Deadly Defender Goku. 4 Vegeta Reluctant Reinforcements. 4 Black Mass Sane Splintering Mine. 4 Oceana Shenron Negative Energy Explosion. 4 Sin Shenron Negative Energy Explosion. 4 Gotenks Fusion Renewed. 4 Dr. Ledger The Departed Spirit. 4 Goku Making an Entrance. 4 Hidden Power E Supreme Kyle. 4 Power Burst. 4 Protector of the People. 4 Instant Transmission Tensai Kamehameha. 4 Shenron Eternal Spirit. And 4 Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta Supreme Saiyan. Obviously our burn cards is Vegeta and Gogeta. And we have Splintering Mines. So we have 12 burn cards in the deck. And we have a lot of blockers. Here's a blocker, here's a blocker, here's a blocker, here's a blocker. This can become a blocker once you use a Spirit Boost. So that's the idea. Definitely wanted a black blocker unison. And we technically got one, just hate that you have to meet the condition in order to make it blocker, but you can combine it with Sin Shenron Negative Energy Explosion. Because he has a Spirit Boost ability, so he'll be able to trigger the Unison's ability to become a blocker. Because we need to make sure we always have the ability to stop, negate at least one attack guaranteed every turn. Without energy, we need a continuous way to stop our opponent. I'm always looking for ways to make Hatchhyack more broken than it already is. Right? Already making it more of a headache for my opponent. I've been seeing a pattern of a couple cards having blocker and counter attack, which is nice, which means they can stop potentially 2 attacks. We had the counter, the blocker negates, as we call them, where it's an extra card that negates an attack, but also makes a token that's a blocked for the at least until the end of the turn. So the fact that one card can stop 2 attacks is awesome. So we have battle cards that have blocker and counter attack. Just like this Gotenks and this Oceanus, we're definitely going to take advantage of that. And I expected this to be in other colors, and we are slowly seeing that. That is the future. Just gave you your future sight, so always stay ahead of the game. I always try to be, so keep that in mind. Counterattack blockers is the future, so get on with that. Another thing is, having a whole bunch of battle cards that have the blocker skill, period, is the future as well. There's going to be very powerful cards that attack more than once. Like we have this awesome Gogeta, but there's the other one, the 8-drop, and that attacks 3 times. That has triple attack. Just one battle card attacking 3 times, and you only have like the ability to negate 1 attack at a time. Right? That's not useful. You need the ability to block 2 or 3 attacks a turn. So I already mentioned before in my master class videos about the idea of playing things that have dual attack and triple attack, for example, to bypass negates. Because negates can negate 1 attack a turn. So why not attack twice? So that way when they negate your first attack, you have a second, which means they have to have twice the negating power. But now Bandai is creating things that literally can create, can negate attack and create a blocker. So it can potentially stop 2 attacks. So now you gotta, figure out a way to bypass that. So Bandai is making it easier to defend is what I'm saying. Which I'm a fan of course, and Hatchhyack loves that. And of course people hate that, and that's why he's called Hatchhyack, Hatred Everlasting. It's your hatred of Hatchhyack that's everlasting. That's the way I like it. So moving on. So we got the leader, permanent. You can only play black battle cards in your battle area, and he can't attack. Although when a battle card attacks, the player who attacked with the battle card can't attack with tokens or battle cards with energy cost 7 or less, other than the card they attack with for the duration of the turn. And of course, anything above 7 cost can attack. So we do have a 10 drop, so the 10 drop can't attack if you already attack with anything else, because he's 10. So you could keep that in mind. And active main, once per turn, place the top card of your deck under this card, then place the top card of your deck into the drop, then draw a card. So that's 3 cards you're going to take. You're going to be taking off the top of your deck. And then to awaken, if you only have black cards in your energy area, choose 3 cards under this card and place it into your drop area and draw a card and flip this card over. So essentially you're guaranteed to awaken on turn 3. So when you awaken, you still can only play black battle cards in your battle area, but you can attack now. Auto, when a battle, same as the front, won't repeat it. Second auto, when this card attacks, this card gets 5k power for the duration of the turn, and you draw a card. So it's a 20k on your turn swing, and you draw a card, which is always good to have. The ability to keep your hands thick. So we have Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta Prismatic Burst. He's 35k with quadruple strikes, so he's a finisher in itself. He has an auto when this card is played. I'm having trouble reading it, sorry. This played. Resolve the following effects based on this, on the color of the cards in your energy area. So mainly our energy is going to be black, but we will, once we play Gogeta, we will charge a red from Isupreme Kai, just so we can trigger this card's ability of the first effect. If you have red energy, right, red card in your energy area, deal 1 damage to your opponent, which is what we try to take advantage of, right? So that's where we get a burn from, is charging a red energy when we play this. And then it has other effects, but the only other effect we get is obviously the black card effect, which is choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and send them to the owner's ward. So this can help us get rid of any blockers our opponent might have, so that way we can, attack our quadruple strike if we haven't already won by burn, which we typically want to, is win through burn. But if, let's say your opponent has 5 life and you play this, you burn your opponent for 1, so now they're at 4, and now they're in kill range for this card. You just gotta try to get it through. And I imagine this was quadruple attack. That would have been badass and disrespectful at the same time. Yeah, but quadruple strike is cool. Can't make him too broken. He has the active main, because obviously he's a 10 drop, so we want a way to cheat him out. He has an active main. We pay 5. Choose 1 Son Goku Zeno card and 1 Vegeta Zeno card in your hand and or battle area, and place them into your drop area in order to play this card from your hand. So we have Deadly Defender Goku and Reluctant Reinforcement Vegeta. These are the Zeno cards that we are going to use for the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta in order to cheat him out for 5. We also have Make an Entrance Goku, which is also a Goku Zeno, so keep that in mind. So you have 8 Goku Zenos, but only 4 Vegeta Zenos, so keep that in mind. This Splintering Minds is not a Vegeta Zeno. It's not even a Vegeta by the card name. It's just a Mass Saiyan, so keep that in mind. Don't get confused and discard the wrong Vegeta for the Gogeta play. Alright, so we have the Deadly Defender Goku, obviously. 20k with Barrier. Barrier is useful in many situations, so it's nice that we have Barrier. Permanent during your opponent's turn, if your leader card is black, which it is, and this card is in rest mode, your opponent can't attack your leader card. And this card gets minus 5k power for the turn. So it's a 15k on your opponent's turn in rest mode. And your opponent can't attack your leader, so they have to attack this first. Before they can even try to attack at your leader, which is always good to redirect attacks to this, especially with the leader being Hatchhyack. Your opponent essentially has a leader swing, a unison swing, and at least 1 battle card swing, unless they manage to play something with dual attack, dual attack or something like that, or they play something higher cost than 7. And get 2 extra attacks in. So at most you'll be blocking, at most you'll be blocking 3 attacks typically a turn. You only really need to stop 2. You could always take 1 hit a turn, because in 4 turns that's only 4 damage, right? If you only take 1 hit a turn, so at most you want to at least reduce the damage to 1 or 0. 0 is always preferred, right? You don't want to take damage, which is why I'm always looking for things to increase this deck's ability to take 0 damage a turn. That's the goal. 0 damage. Of course, people are going to hate that, but that's the idea. Hatred everlasting. So, as long as you can combo and keep this card, on the field, you'll be able to, absorb. That's his job, is to absorb a lot of your opponent's attacks, so your opponent's leader, so your leader is not taking hits, or at least takes less hits. Because if you think about it logically, just even comboing 1 time to protect this battle card stops 2 attacks, because it will take 2 attacks. The first attack you out comboed, right? That's the first attack. Second attack is the one that will kill him, because you're not going to be able to out combo the second attack. Unless you can, then you stop 2 attacks, which means 1 more attack to kill it. But now your opponent can't attack you because they already used up all the 3 attacks they had for the turn, unless they managed to get like extra attacks. Unisons with dual attacks will be a problem, obviously, right? Leaders with dual attacks will be a problem. Battle cards with dual attacks will be a problem. So imagine if your opponent had all 3 of their cards, battle card, leader card, and Unison, all had dual attack. That's 6 attacks. The best you can do is probably stop 3, right? Maybe 4. Especially if you use these block and negate battle cards, you can stop 2 attacks with 1, and then stop 1 with a negate, right? And maybe out combo another one, so you can potentially stop 4 attacks. The likelihood of your opponent having, a leader that attacks twice, a unison that attacks twice, and a battle card that attacks twice is slim, not impossible. Always keep that in mind, but slim. Unless they take my advice and they've been listening to me this whole time, then they would have that. They would have multiple attacks, so I have to be careful. But this is why we're trying to make it harder, trying to be able to make sure that every negate we use could potentially stop 2 attacks. That way, if 6 attacks comes our way in a single turn, if we only have 3 negates, at least those 3 negates, since they can stop potentially 2 attacks each, they can stop 6 attacks. 3 negates, 6 attacks can be stopped, right? So that's what we're looking for. So Deadly Defender by himself can potentially stop 2 attacks, which is what you want to get the most out of. If you can stop 3 attacks and you can consistently do that every turn, oh, delicious. Another funny thing is using this, right? Your opponent will try to attack this. You'll negate an attack, right? Like let's say you use a Goku Make an Entrance to negate the attack. They still, with their next attack, they still have to direct it towards this, right? And then let's say you out combo the attack. So you survive 2 attacks off of 1 negate and 1 combo, right? 1 combo step. Now they got to do the 3rd attack against it, to try to take it down. And if they succeed, all right, cool, they succeed. But you didn't use that much to, prevent the attacks going to your opponent. So at least you got an extra turn, which is always the goal. I've said this many times before. If anybody's been following me, is you're always trying to get an extra turn. That is always the goal, is getting an extra turn. Even if you get that extra turn with 1 life, if you manage to survive and have 1 life left, and you get that extra turn, it makes all the difference. So it's all about getting extra turns, because that means an extra chance to draw a card, play a card, swing with your leader, draw, play a card, make, and get extra battle phase and all extra stuff. Extra turns is always the name of the game. Extra turns and burn. Extra turns and burn. They rhyme, right? Burn per turn. So now we got Reluctant Gogeta. He's here more for his Vegeta Zeno aspect, but ironically he is a 3-drop 20k with barrier, so he has some use in that regards. But he doesn't do much of anything else other than being a 20k barrier that's a Vegeta Zeno, but he doesn't have an activate that does have some synergy with another card, where you pay 1 energy active main. Place this card into the owner's drop area. Choose one black battle card with 19k power from your drop area and play it. And the target for that is our Black Mass Saint Splintering Mind. So it does have some synergy with that. Because if you look at it, essentially it costs the same as if you just hard casted this. So you play this for 3, trigger its effect for 1 energy, so that's a total of 4, just to bring this back from the drop. And then swing with this. Keep in mind that if you swing with this and do the active main and bring this back, you won't be able to swing with this because, you know, the leader's effect. So keep that in mind. But, you know, that's the goal, is like you're mainly using this for your Gogeta play, but it has a secondary use to get you a Black Mass Saint. And it being a 20k barrier body for 3 is always good. Nothing wrong with it. So it has some utility. Black Mass Saint. Speaking of Black Mass Saint, auto, when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and set it to warp. So there's some warp removal there. You can get rid of something, a problematic battle card with that, especially anything that has like dual attack or something. You can definitely use this to get rid of it. Then second auto, Sparking 7. When you have 7 or more cards in your drop, when this card attacks, send 2 cards from your life to the warp in order to send 1 card from your opponent's life to the warp. So essentially burn by just warping 1 of their lives. And if all they have is 1 life, then that's just game. So that's another burn card in the deck. Then we have Oceanus, Negative Energy Explosion. It's a blocker, counterattack. Choose 1 card from your hand and discard it, negate the attack, and then play this card. If you played a card, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they place the top 4 cards of their deck into the drop area each time they attack. So you want to play something like a counterattack and, you know, a negate, and then play this to stop another attack, right? And then have this effect in effect. So if they try to attack more, they'll have to start milling. So this could potentially prevent multiple attacks. So just 1 card could essentially stop a whole turn. So again, stop a whole turn, right? Gets you another turn. And then it's a blocker. So if your opponent does take the challenge, right, still wants to take the risk and still be like, oh, I want to attack anyway because I have a quadruple strike. I'm trying to go for game. All right, well, I'll block because it's a blocker. So you negate an attack with it. You can block an attack with it. So that's 2. That's 2 right there. You can stop with this card. And you know, if there's a 3rd attack, you can just stop it with a basic negate. So there's that. And has the permanent that during your opponent's turn, this costs 3 less to play. So it's a 2-drop on your opponent's turn, which is the only way you're really going to play it, is on your opponent's turn. You just want to negate an attack and then be able to block an attack. So you want to be able to use this for 2 energy. And that's about it. The auto doesn't work in this deck. Then we have Sin Shinron Negative Energy Explosion. It has Deflect Barrier. It's a double strike blocker. So it's both a sword and shield, right? It has Deflect and Barrier, so that's really nice. So you don't have to worry about like guys stealing trunks or something. It having Barrier, you don't have to worry about like somebody stealing this with a heroine's lineage, or, you know, getting rid of it with a card skill. And of course, it's a blocker, so it's a 20k blocker with double strike, so you can use it to apply pressure on your opponent, but you could also use it to defend yourself. Then it has the active main / battle ability. Once per turn, Spirit Boost 1, so you remove a marker from one of your unisons in order to trigger this effect. Switch this card to active mode, and your opponent places the top card of their deck into their drop area. Sorry. Then choose up to 1 Shadow Dragon. Yeah, that part is irrelevant. So you will swing with this because it is a 20k double strike with barrier, so good weapon to swing with, right? Swing with this, and then you can trigger either during active main or battle, whichever way you want. That part is a little irrelevant, right? on your turn. So you swing. After you swing, trigger this ability. Move a marker. Specifically, you want to do that from your Shenron Eternal Spirit, so you could turn it into a blocker. So it becomes a blocker. You restand this, so it's a 20k barrier blocker. So you have another blocker. So you have 2 blockers that you can use against your opponent. So that right there can stop 2 attacks. At least consider that this will stop, let's say, the leader swing, and this will stop a unison swing. So you at least have these 2 to stop the leader and a unison, at least guaranteed every turn with these 2, which is always something you want. And you can save your counter attacks for your opponent's battle cards and deal with your opponent's battle cards in that regards. But at least you'll be able to keep your opponent's leader and unison at bay, as they say, with these 2 cards. So it's definitely strategy I like. And of course, the fact that since it has the active battle card, you can use this to block an attack, right? Then trigger its effect to put it back into active mode, take a marker off of Shenron. Shenron will turn into a blocker, and then now you have 2 more blockers because he's in active mode, so you can block with him again. And then you have Shenron as a blocker. So that right there, just those 2 cards alone, is a reusable, 3 block engines. So you can block 3 attacks. The difference between the unison and the Shenron is that the Shenron, obviously it can be defeated by battle. So make sure you try to combo to keep it alive if your opponent tries to take it down by comboing. But the Shenron, you don't have to worry about that because all it does is it just loses the marker every time it blocks, which is why I wanted a unison blocker that's black for this deck, and finally got one. But it's like, oh man, but this requires Spirit Boost. There really isn't anything that works with it. And then I realized, oh wait, this works with it. Also the whole once you restand, you mill your opponent for a card, so that helps. So you attack, restand, block, restand. So the fact that you could do that once per turn, you're essentially milling your opponent at the same time as you're just defending. So gotta love that. So because another win con will be to deck your opponent out, right? This can help you deck your opponent out. This can help you deck your opponent out. So if you want to have that synergy. Moving on, not much there. Just pointing out that if you use those 2 together, you can potentially stop 3 attacks a turn. at the least, right? At the least, you can stop 3 attacks. If your opponent has more than that, then that's where the extra cards and negates you have come into play. Of course, we have this Dr. Leche, which is a reusable blocker. So him, Shenron, Sin Shenron, and Shenron Eternal Spirit. Those 3. If you have those 3 on the field, then that's 4 attacks a turn. You can potentially stop reliably. So that's always good. We have Gotenks Fusion Renewed. It's a blocker, counterattack. Send 3 cards from your drop area to the warp, negate the attack, and play this card. So if you have a battle card with energy costs of 6 in play, reduces cards cost by 1. I wish it said 5 or more, because then that would count Oceanus and it would count Gogeta. That would be cool, right? But we'll take what we can get. So pretty much this will cost 3. Oceanus, costs 2. So keep that in mind. Auto, when this card attacks, place up to 3 black battle cards from your warp into your drop area. Then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less and send it to the owner's warp. Which is useful because, it helps you get rid of a potential threat. You always want to keep your opponent's, again, you want to keep your opponent down to 3 attacks, at most, right? You don't want them to have more than that because it makes it tougher, right? That just means more resources to defend. That's why you want to keep their cards lower. You can't get rid of their leader, so the leader swing will always be there. It'll be hard to get rid of a unison, right? Unless you have unison killing capabilities, and of course we got double strike here, and we got double strike there. So there's the potential to try to kill a unison, but it'll be a little tough, especially with the leader, slowing down your attacks. But you can try though. In this deck, we don't really have a unison that can attack, so all we rely on is leader and battle card swings. So we gotta make the most of it, because our unisons are mainly for, this one's for defense and this one's for burn, so they're not gonna help us when it comes to attacking. So we specifically using this deck has to rely on our leader and our battle card swings, which more likely will be just one battle card swing per turn. So we're swinging twice a turn. Our opponent has the potential of swinging 3 times a turn, or more, which is why we gotta defend against multiple attacks. But the goal is to reduce it to 3 or less, so that way it's within our control. So we want to control how many times our opponent can and can't attack, not them. We always want control. Whenever your opponent has control, they're always gonna make a decision that's in their best interest, never in yours, right? So make the game easy for yourself, but always hard for your opponents. Of course, when you use this to do the counterattack, you obviously want to warp black battle cards with this, because once you swing with this, if you use this to attack, you can put those 3 battle cards back into your drop. Especially if you end up playing another one of these later, you just use the same 3 black battle cards and warp them to play it, right? You don't want to be in a scenario where you're warping different stuff, and then one turn you try to play this and it turns out you don't have you only have like 2 cards left in your drop, so you can't warp to play this, and that could make a difference between winning and losing, right? So you want to make sure you reusing the stuff that you're warping. Also, we have instant transmission 10-side Kamehameha has the ability that when you play it to negate an attack, you could put up to 2 black battle cards from your warp to the drop. So that's why you want to do black battle cards. So that way this could put it back, or this card's own effect could put it back. That way they have some synergy, because you always want to at least put the stuff back so that you can use them later to play another copy. And it's a blocker, so of course negate an attack and block an attack. So you can stop 2 attacks, and it's a 15k body, which is nicer because it's Oceanus is only 5k. So if you do block her, there's a high chance she'll die. But Gotenks has a higher survival chance. There's a higher chance of surviving if he blocks. Then we got Dr. Ledge, Departed. He's a 10k blocker with the auto. When you play this card, place the top 2 cards of your deck to the drop. That's not optional. You have to do 2. And active main, pay 2. If your leader card is Black Machine Mutant card, which it is, play this card from your drop rate. So that makes it reusable. You just have to mill top 2 cards of your deck and pay 2 to play this. You always want to play this after you attack, but before you end your turn. That's a pro tip for that. And you only really need to do 1 a turn. You don't want to do too many, because you don't want to end up milling yourself too much, and you definitely up the good stuff, and you definitely don't want to deck yourself out. This is a 60 card deck, so there's a higher chance that your opponent would deck out before you do. And I've been in scenarios where like my deck was very, very low, but I still managed to deck my opponent out because I had more cards left in my deck, because I play a 60 card deck. We have Goku making an entrance. And plus, let's say I go against what's it called, Cooler Mill or something. Being a 60 card deck makes their job, their job harder, right? Makes it hard for them to mill me out, even with their Frieza combo. So we can try to mill them, and we make it hard for them to mill us, right? So we have some anti-mill built into the deck's design. Anyway, make an entrance Goku, counterattack, negate an attack, play it for 1 energy. Does not have combo power, but you still should combo it just in case, just to get it to the drop. If it's on the field, not if it's in hand. If it's in hand, obviously use it to counter an attack. But once it's on the field, then you might want to combo it off just to get back to the drop, so you can always add it back to the hand with power burst. But you can keep it on the field, of course, because we do have Gogeta Zeno in the deck, so you can use this Goku and this Vegeta to play this for 5 after you charged a E Supreme Kai. And the only time you should ever charge E Supreme Kai should be after turn 3, so turn 4 and up. Don't charge before turn 3 or on turn 3, because then you won't be able to awaken your leader, and you'll definitely want to be awakened. So keep that in mind. Speaking of E Supreme Kai, well, he's a 5K body. There's times where like I'll play this to negate an attack, then swing with it and E Supreme Kai my opponent. Sometimes that'll be something I do as soon as turn 2. Like if I go first, I play an energy, right? Do the leader's ability and end my turn. Then my opponent, probably just going to do a leader swing, or they do a leader swing and I take it, but then they play a battle card and then they swing with a battle card. In case they played a battle card for free or something, or a rival did. Then they swing with him. It's like, all right, well, negate that attack. And then on my turn, I hit them back with the Goku and E Supreme Kai, and hit them back on the clapback. So, because until turn 3, you're not really going to be able to do, not going to be able to attack and do much damage. So that's why I try. In every other deck, turn 1, turn 2 is very crucial for damage dealing. You want to deal at least 4 damage within those 2 turns, because then after that, it's going to be hard to deal damage because your opponent's going to have no energy. They're going to have, negates and battle cards and all types of stuff they could play to try to stop you from dealing multiple attacks, just like they could play Oceanus, or they could play this Gold Tanks, or they could drop this bad boy right here and block 2 attacks a turn type thing. It's like, that's why you want to deal the most damage between turn 1, turn 2 with, most of the other decks. This deck is hard to do damage turn 1, turn 2 because the leader can't swing turn 1, turn 2. So hopefully you can try to do some type of damage on turn 2, and then turn 3 definitely try to make up for it and do some more damage and at least get your point down to 4 on turn 3. So turn 2, turn 3, try to do as much damage as you can. But sometimes you have no choice but to do the best you can on turn 3, and then turn 4, hopefully you can do more, and then stall beyond that. E Supreme Kai, pay 1 energy, combo it, so you can get 10k boost, and give something that you're attacking with double strike. So that's, the double strike is optional, but of course we always choose that option. The sooner we deal damage, the better. Try and get a point down to 2 lives, so, it'd be easier to get them down to 1, and then burn them for 1 power burst. Counterattack, if your leader card's back, it is. Negate the attack, and then choose up to 1 black battle card from your drop area or warp with energy cost of 1 and add it to your hand. So our main target for that is our Goku making entrance, so we can use it to stop another attack. So we could play this, stop an attack, and then play this. Something I would do is I'll use this to negate to stop an attack. Then when my opponent attacks, for another attack, I use this to combo with something else to stop the attack, just so I can get this back into a drop, or take the hit, or like I'll combo this and take the hit from the attack, just so I can get this to the drop, and then play this to negate the next attack after that, and then add this back to my hand. And if there just so happens to be a 4th attack, at least I have this in my hand to stop the 4th attack. So there's that. So permanent sparking 7. If you have 7 or more cards you need to drop, you can play this card from your hand by taking a card from your life and add it to your hand to play this card for free. You can, it's not once per turn, so you can do this multiple times as long as you can afford to take a life to play it. Which is useful. It comes in handy if you have 4 life, for example, and your opponent, manages to, let's say you already stopped 3 attacks, already that turn, but then your opponent started playing some extra stuff and just managed to get like a triple strike, a triple attack, and start attacking 3 times. You'd be like, power burst, right? Stop all 3 attacks with all 3 of your power bursts and still survive with 1 life. Like I said, as long as you have 1 life, you get that 1 extra turn. So try to make a comeback. Hopefully it's a Gogeta play, go for game. We have Power of the People. It's a new negate edition, as aware, because I normally didn't play this before in Hatchhyack, but it's logically good to play in Hatchhyack because, like I said, you're always trying to get the extra turns, and you always have to take into account your opponent's going to attack multiple times. So having one, basically, this is like a flying nimbus in a way. It's the sins of being of the deck, right? So you play, negate an attack, which is important that it negates an attack, right? Then you may choose one card in your hand and place into your drop area, right? If you do, choose one of your leader cards, and it gains the following effect. When this card is attacked by a battle card, it gets plus 5k power for the turn. So obviously you want to use this to negate either a leader or a unison swing, and then after that have the effect that whenever the opponent attacks with a battle card, you'll get 5k boost for the duration of the turn, and that power keeps stacking. So if your opponent attacks more than once with a battle card or attacks multiple battle cards, then you'll keep getting the boost. Because like I said, sometimes some people do manage to play something that can attack more than once, or they're able to play more battle cards and they're able to get something that is higher cost than 7, get like an 8 drop out there, and an 8 drop with the ability to attack twice is powerful, right? So it's very important to keep getting a power boost so that we have to combo less, and the less you have to combo, the better. Obviously, something you can do, this effect should stack. So if you negate an attack with this, right, you get the effect. You play another one, negate the attack. You're essentially going to be getting 10k every time your opponent attacks with a battle card. So that's something you definitely want to be able to do is stack this. And of course, playing this and combining it with Oceanus is nice, because if they attack, they have to mill 4 cards, and you get the power boost, and they have to try to, combo to overcome the fact that you're getting stronger. So it's a really, really good negate to have in this deck. Because a lot of times, what's important about these one energy negates is the fact that there'll be times where you'll want to play something. Like, let's say you want to play Dr. Leche, right? So you play him for 2, so that's already using up your mana that you're not, your energy that you're not going to be able to use for, for any of your other, more costly negates. So playing this for 2 and then be able to use these for 1 energy is very useful. So 1 energy negates are definitely a standard for this deck. I mean, it's just good in general, but definitely in this deck, you always want to make sure your negates are very low cost. 2 cost, 1 cost is preferred. We're making an exception for this being a 3 cost. We have instant transmission 10 times Kamehameha. It's our reusable negate, because everything else, once you use it, it's gone. Won't be able to get them back, but this is the one that we can get back from our drop over and over again. So first off, counter attack, negate the attack, then place up to 2 black battle cards from your warp to your drop area. Active main, pay 1 black energy, choose 2 cards in your hand, send them to the warp, and then add this card from your drop area to your hand. Obviously, we're going to do black battle cards for this effect, so that way when we use this to negate an attack, we can put the black battle cards back into our drop. And if we play our Go Tanks and remove those black battle cards to play him, when we attack one, we can put them back, or we can use another one of these and put them back. The synergy there. Then we have Shenron, Eternal Spirit. Mentioned before that if we remove a marker from this card with the Spirit Boost skill, it gains blocker. It has a permanent that it can't attack, so it's just a wall. It's just a shield, not a sword. Plus 2 of marker ability. Active main, choose 1 card in your hand and discard it, or place it at the bottom of your deck and draw a card. Sorry. I recommend obviously putting it in the bottom of your deck because you're trying to prevent milling. So it's kind of cool that this has that effect. It's like, oh yeah, I needed that effect as well. This deck is already 60 cards, so it's already going to be hard for this deck to get milled out, but it's not impossible. Therefore, we're trying to make it harder, right? So if our opponent's goal is to only win con is to deck us out, or the best they can do is try to deck us out. We can use this to mitigate it. Also, there's will help us filter cycle through our deck, so that we have something in our hands that we have no use for. Like, let's say we so happen to have like an extra copy of Dr. Leche, but we already got one in the drop. Like, we don't need this extra copy. We can put this at the bottom of the deck and draw a card instead. So this will help us cycling, get the right cards, and in case we need our combo pieces, so we can play our win console. This will help us filter. Obviously, when swinging the leader, you draw a card, and then you can use this card's effect to put anything back on the bottom of the deck and draw another card, so that we can, again, like I said, cycle through and filter, cycle through and get to your key cards. So that's a nice addition. Plus, it gets 2 markers, which is always good. Because, again, like I said, your opponent technically will only have 3 attacks. They could manage more than that, but technically they will only have a maximum of 3 attacks per turn. So this getting 2 markers means it can survive 2 attacks. And of course, we can always negate an attack, so that increases its survival rate, so it has a higher chance of surviving just by that fact. In case our opponent's trying to take it down through attacks, which we want them to waste their attacks on it and not our leader. But of course, we're going to, like I said, get the 2 markers. We'll remove a marker for Shenron, so we can use, we can restand him and mill our opponent in the process. So we can use him to block more than once, then turn this into a blocker, and then this, since it's a 4K, it would, it will lose a marker guarantee once it blocks. So it's good that we get 2 markers every time we use this effect. Then it has a -3 ability. Active main, pay 1. Play up to 1 goes. Yeah, none of that matters because we don't use any of those. Plus, they can't be played in this deck. But all we need is the +2 ability, and it becomes a blocker effect. So, moving on, we have SS4 Vegeta Supreme Saiyan Power. We mainly use it for its -5 ability. Active main, pay 4 black energy, send 1 card from your opponent's life to the warp, so we could burn our opponent for that. So in order to play this card in 1 turn, you will need 9 energy, 5 to play this. If you only have 1 copy of this card, you have 5 to play this, and then 4 black to trigger its effect, right? But if you have 2 copies of this, then you only need 8. So the soonest you can play this is essentially turn 8. You could try to play this sooner, right? And then try to use its +2 ability, but it's better off to just wait until you have enough energy to play this. More likely, you're going to use Vegeta, Splinter Mines, or Gogeta to burn, but it doesn't hurt to have an extra added way of burning. And this is a unison, not a battle card. This doesn't have the flex, so this could be God Steel Trucks. This doesn't have the flex, so it could be God Steel Trucks. So these don't have protection, so they're easier for your opponent to counter or deal with than this card. So it's nice to have a card that's hard to interact with as your win con. Right? And that's the end of the video.